Ever use one of those vibrating foam rollers after a tough workout?
Oh, yeah.
Feels amazing.
It's
Or
definitely.
kind of makes you wonder what else those good vibrations can do.
Right.
Well, today we're diving deep into the world of vibrational healing,
We're talking ancient history.
cutting edge science.
Even some figures you might not expect, like Nikola Tesla.
See, that's what I love about these deep dives, always uncovering these hidden connections. Like, most people know Tesla for electricity,
Right.
but he was obsessed with vibrations too.
Oh, absolutely. Tesla believed our bodies were basically complex systems that respond to different frequencies. He even invented this thing called a vibrating oscillator, thought it could have healing powers.
Didn't he try it out on Mark Twain?
Yeah, there's this famous story about that.
Oh, it happened.
Let's just say Tesla gave Twain a session on the oscillator, and it sent him running to the bathroom.
Not exactly the result you'd want.
Not quite.
But it makes you think, could Tesla have been onto something? I mean, this idea that we can use vibrations to heal ourselves, it's not as crazy as it sounds, right?
No, and the thing is, it's not even a new idea.
Mm.
We see echoes of this going way back. Think about Pythagoras, the ancient Greek mathematician.
Yeah, sure.
He believed music could heal the soul, called it soul adjustments.
Soul adjustments, how'd that work?
It's not entirely clear how he did it, but he saw this deep connection between musical harmony and the human body, believed certain rhythms and scales could restore balance.
Like fine-tuning an instrument.
Exactly.
Makes you wonder what else ancient civilizations knew about sound and vibration.
And that's the most intriguing part. There are all these clues throughout history, hints that maybe they understood something we're only now starting to rediscover. Take the ancient Egyptians, for instance.
The pyramids.
Well, not the pyramids exactly. There's a theory that those elaborate sarcophagi they built, the ones inside the pyramids, some researchers believe they weren't just for burial.
What, you're saying they were like giant speakers?
Not speakers, but maybe, possibly, they used them for vibrational healing sessions.
Let's see.
Think about it. The acoustics in those chambers are incredible. Plus, they often contain metallic instruments. It's possible they knew how to use sound and vibration to induce altered states, or even, facilitate healing.
Mind-blowing. But if this has been around for so long, why isn't it, mainstream? Why aren't doctors writing vibrational prescriptions?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And while it's tempting to think vibrations are some cure-all,
Right.
it's important to approach this with some caution.
So it's not as easy as, what, just cranking up my music and calling it a day?
Not quite. It's a little more complicated than that. Think of it like this.
Okay.
You wouldn't just, grab a handful of random herbs and hope they cure what ails you, right?
Right.
Same goes for vibrations. You need the right ones for a specific effect.
Okay, so what makes certain vibrations therapeutic then? What makes them different from just, I don't know, noise?
It all comes down to something called resonance. Basically, everything vibrates at a certain frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And when you hit an object with the same frequency, it naturally vibrates at. That's resonance.
Like when a singer hits that one note and it shatters glass? Okay, but we're talking about healing the body, not breaking glass. So how does that work?
Well, our bodies are just a collection of different things, all vibrating, right? Organs, tissues, even our cells, they all have their own frequencies.
Okay.
So the idea is if we can apply specific frequencies, we can influence those vibrations, maybe even bring our bodies back into balance.
Find the right frequency for the problem, right?
Exactly.
And speaking of frequencies and vibrations, we got to talk about Einstein.
We do.
Of course. His whole theory of relativity kind of blew the roof off what we thought about energy.
That's true. His famous equation, e mc d SOH, showed us that even a tiny amount of mass is actually a huge amount of energy just waiting to be unleashed.
I'll be honest, the math part makes my head spin a little.
Understandable.
But how does that tie into healing?
Well, if everything is energy vibrating at different speeds, like Einstein suggested, then maybe, just maybe, we can affect those vibrations and impact our physical selves, too. It opens up a lot of possibilities, doesn't it?
It really does. It's like our bodies are instruments and we're just starting to figure out how to play them. And you know who else thought about the body that way?
Who?
A scientist named Jacobo Grinberg. He believed we could learn to harness our own vibrational energy.
Oh, Grimberg, he was fascinating. A neuroscientist, actually.
Really?
Yeah, and a bit of a tragic figure, too. He started as a skeptic, didn't believe in energy healing at all, but then something happened, changed his whole perspective.
What it?
The story goes, he witnessed a healing, something so powerful, so unexplainable by traditional science, that it made him rethink everything. He became convinced that with focus, with intention, maybe even with some kind of vibrational control, the mind could influence reality.
Hold on, he thought the mind could, like, bend reality.
Yeah, it was a radical idea. But Grinberg was determined to prove it scientifically. He did all this groundbreaking work on the mind-body connection, even suggested that we could use this neuronal synchronization to heal ourselves.
Neuronal synchronization. Okay, now you've lost me. What's that?
Think of it like this. It's kind of complex.
Okay.
But basically, Grinberg thought that when we really focus our minds, our brains could emit this like coherent electromagnetic field, and that this field could actually interact with, the energy fields of other people, maybe even influence matter on a quantum level.
So you're saying our thoughts could, like, have a real impact on the world around us.
It's a wild thought, right?
It's kind of blowing my mind a little.
It's definitely out there, and it's still being researched. Quantum biology, parapsychology, fields like that.
So it's not just science fiction.
Well, the jury's still out. It's pretty controversial.
No.
And unfortunately, Grinberg's work kind of ended abruptly.
What do you mean?
He disappeared in 1994.
Disappeared. Like, no one knows what happened.
Gone without a trace.
Ah.
There are theories, of course, accidents, maybe something more sinister,
Wow.
but no one knows for sure. A tragic end to a really interesting life, though.
It's like something out of a movie. But his research, these ideas about the power of thought and vibrations, people are still exploring that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He wasn't alone in that. Back in the early 1900s, there was this scientist, Rife. He made some pretty bold claims, too.
What kind of claims?
He thought he could cure cancer
Cure cancer?
with vibrations.
Okay, now you have to explain that one.
He built this machine, called it the beam ray machine, believed it could generate frequencies that would destroy cancer cells. Well, he thought that every little organism, bacteria, viruses, even cancer cells, they vibrate at a specific frequency.
Okay.
So his machine, it would target those bad cells, hit them with their resonant frequency, and basically make them vibrate themselves to death.
So like that wine glass thing we were talking about before?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Except instead of breaking the glass, you're targeting, the bad stuff.
That's quite the theory. Did it work?
Well, it got some attention. Some people said it worked for them.
No.
It was never really accepted by the scientific community.
Was it just too out there, curing cancer with sound waves?
That's part of it. Rife didn't really come from a traditional science background, so he didn't really follow the usual methods, and his claims were, well, pretty big.
I bet. So did anyone try to, like, replicate his results?
Not with much luck. It's hard to say for sure, though.
Why is that?
A lot of his research, it's gone. Plus, there are these theories, conspiracy theories really, that someone, maybe even the government, shut him down.
Juicy. So what can we say for sure about Rife's work? Did his machine actually work?
It's hard to say. Not a lot of hard evidence left. But his story, it makes you think, doesn't it? What if he was onto something?
It really does. We've covered a lot of ground today, from ancient rituals to Tesla, Egyptian tombs to disappearing scientists. It's a lot to take in.
It is, and we're just scratching the surface, really.
So where does this leave us? What's the takeaway for everyone listening?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just realizing that this fascination with sound and healing, it's not new. It goes back centuries.
Right.
And yeah, the science might be catching up slowly, but those stories, the ancient traditions, they're hard to ignore.
It's about keeping an open mind. Really.
Exactly. Questioning what we think we know? Maybe, just maybe, there's more to the world than we can see.
That's a great point to end on. Keep asking those questions, everyone, and who knows what you might discover. Thanks for diving deep with us, and we'll see you next time.